everything set up. We've got our stand mixer there. We've got all of our ingredients for the cake, which we're going to start with first today. We have the, I can never point the right way. Okay. We have the overhead cam going, but I don't really think we're going to need it. I made the pastry cream ahead of time today because it had to cool, and you all have seen me make pastry cream probably 3 times now. I decided I am going to, if you look down in the info below, there's information on like my Instagram. I'm going to get a YouTube going, but I'm going to start putting these recipes, the smaller things like pastry cream, whipped cream, butter, anything like that that you can make from home, that I could condense to a smaller video. I think I'm going to redo as like stories or reels on Instagram that are saved on my Baker Dave page. So if you want to go to the Baker Dave with underscores as spaces on Instagram, you can find that stuff there probably by next week or so. In other news, I'm probably going to take the day after Halloween off, whatever that Sunday is. Let's see, the 20... Oh, okay, so the 1st of November I won't be doing a stream. But next week we're probably going to do something spooky for Halloween. Hey, Raytron, what's going on? Nice to see you. I hope you like the new digs. This is the new official outfit, you know, rebranding and all that fun stuff. But yeah, so you'll also notice I've got, I don't have, you know, for the sake of not blowing it up on my end, I don't have the volume going here, because I don't want any echoes going, and I'm not a super pro at this or anything, but you might be able to, let me see if I can try this out. There are some sound effects I've just added.
Fire is a danger. It can burn whole buildings, but we are ready for fire.
Okay, so it looks like the sound's working. If you're getting any crazy echoes from that, please let me know. But yeah, so I've got some sound effects going. These are fun to play around with. So take a look through there. I just wanted to kind of do something to mix it up a little bit. I think I'm going to do some Halloween exclusive sounds next week. So let's see, which is my favorite out of these sounds? I know this is goofy, but I was so excited to get these going.
Attaboy, Tony. That flash means act fast.
There you go. So give them a try. It's kind of fun, kind of goofy, but it was something that I see a lot in the retro groups, but I haven't seen much of in the cooking groups yet, though I'm just dipping my toe there. So yeah, thank you for joining, everybody. I think next week we're going to have some background music too. I was working to get everything ready for that, but unfortunately I was not, I just wasn't able to get that together by, get it together by today. So I'm going to get my stand mixer plugged in here. It looks like I've got my adapter plugged into the wrong spot, so I'm going to get this going. You know, I do wish these stand mixers would have a longer cord, but understandably so, they're probably not always for somebody to constantly move. Get our ice cream mixer there. Which, by the way, if you've never tried, is a lot of fun. Not very time consuming. It's just one of those things you kind of gotta get ready for. See, that's all good. Okay, don't need the bread hook today. And it looks like we will probably need, let's see, we're going to put our oven at 350 degrees. So credit where it's due. I'm using a little bit of previous knowledge. I'm using the Mark Bittman How to Bake Everything book for my recipe for pastry cream. This cake is going to be a white layer cake with pastry cream, whipped cream, toasted almonds, and the frosting is going to be kind of like a buttercream, but with some amaretto mixed in there for the almond flavor. Also, I use some almond extract in I'll fold in some almond extract in the pastry cream to make that kind of an almond flavored filling. But yeah, so credit where it's due. I got some recipe like the one for the white layer cake I use is from Cook's Country. It's definitely worth, if you sign up for one subscription, like one of those $11.99, $9.99, whatever, if you do one of those once, you will get a ton of magazines. Just remember to cancel on time. Just if you're like me and you aren't able to make your way through 11 magazines in 4 years, but that's a really fun thing to do. So that's where I got the white layer cake recipe. There are a couple other tips they give in their almond cake recipe that I use for this. Kind of some guidance for getting the almond flavor going. Let's see. So first things first, we've set our oven to 350 degrees. Got our oven racks in the right spots here. We're gonna get our 8 or 9 inch tins. I think I have some 9 inch ones. Let me check real quick. Let's see. Oh, we're looking through the stuff. Okay, so I've got 2 8-inch tins and 1 9-inch tin. So I think I'm going to do 2 8-inch tins, and then if I end up with a little bit extra, I might get brave and maybe try to do some cupcakes or something like that for a smaller amount of time, and just basically top them with the almond buttercream. So we're going to grease these, and actually I've had better luck with greasing and flouring than I have with just greasing. So what I'm gonna do is I'll hold off right until these things go in, spray them with some non-stick, canola spray, and then put a little bit of flour in there and dust them around. And I'll show you on the overhead cam how that works. Okay. So, line with parchment paper, grease parchment, and flour pans. Wow, so they really take every chance they can to keep this thing from sticking in here. They got the greased pans lined with parchment paper, which is then greased, and then the pans are floured. I'm hoping and thinking maybe I'll do some parchment paper circles in the very bottom, but I don't know. I feel like flouring and greasing the pan will probably do good enough. So next step, we're going to mix the milk. So we've got 1 cup of whole milk here that's come to room temperature. Sorry, I've got to minimize something real quick here. Okay, so we've got 1 cup of whole milk here that's come to room temperature. I put this out this morning as I was getting everything ready. We've got 6 eggs that have come to room temperature. These also I sat out this morning. See if I can carefully transport these over there. There's your first 3. Okay. And vanilla. So I'm gonna have some extra egg yolks from this, and I would have used those to make the curd, but I think I'll actually save those for making some lemon curd later on. So milk, egg whites, vanilla in a 2-cup liquid measuring cup. Okay. So I do not have a 2-cup liquid measuring cup on hand, but I'm just going to use a bowl. I'll get my whisk here. And I'll set these to the side. Get a glass bowl. They probably just have you put it in the liquid measuring cup for, neatness sake. And as I've done before, we are going to crack our eggs in a separate container so that it doesn't get too messy here. Okay, so 6 large eggs. We're just using the egg whites out of these. So I'm just rocking the egg yolk back and forth. I'm going to get this on the overhead cam for the other ones here. Switch the location of these. And let me get a little jar to put these egg yolks in. Very precariously set is the extension cord for my overhead camera that I just purchased, which, as I said, we might not even end up needing. So see me leaving the camera for too long. I'm just trying to make sure I don't mess anything up with that extension cord and pull the whole setup away. Okay. So these really do separate much easier at room temperature. It's very nice. Okay. Second yolk there. As I said, I'll go ahead and switch these out so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Here's where the egg whites are going. Okay, so if you haven't seen this before, you can go ahead and give it a crack on the table. There'll be just the faintest, let's see, just the faintest crack on there. That should be good enough. You might get a little bit more than that, but that should be enough to get your eggs separated, hopefully. If it's not, give it another tap. There we go. Okay, and then you're just going to toss the egg yolk back and forth here, and the egg white will simply fall out into whatever you're using. There is this little bit, this little strand of protein that hangs onto the yolk sometimes. You can take it or leave it. There is no issue with keeping that thing on. I feel like that's just worth noting because actually my fiance's grandma absolutely hates that thing, and she can't, doesn't want it in her scrambled eggs or anything. So I never noticed it before that, but once you know someone, it's one of those things. Okay. So again, you do a quick crack on the table, and you will separate it. Oh no, no. Okay. We got yolk in the whites. This was here's your damage control. So no big deal, not a whole yolk. I'll just spin it out of there. This isn't gonna ruin anything. And almost anything that you can use egg whites and egg yolks for, you can get a little bit of one or the other in it, and it's not going to completely ruin everything. But we are going to need to get one egg out of the fridge now. We get this cleaned up. Almost had that completely, perfectly contained. Let's get this mouse out of the way too. Don't want any technical difficulties to boot. Okay, so we got one egg white casualty here. Okay, let's get back to it though. Okay, so we've got our first 3 egg whites. We're gonna mix those up. So we got just a tinge of egg yolk in there. No big deal, we'll keep on moving. Okay. And with the other 5 egg yolks being from being at room temperature anyway, I think we're fine. So I'm going to do another way, which is a little bit more exact. Thought I could get away with the cool cracking it on the table. So here's another thing you can do. Though sometimes you risk getting eggshell in the egg like this. This is use a very gentle hand. Just give it a swift crack down the middle. Sometimes that works. And the final point I was going to make about this is that when you're separating egg whites and egg yolks, get that little bit of protein off the side of the egg there. But yeah, when you're separating egg whites and egg yolks, another way you can do it that is completely good, and some people prefer it too, is just to crack the egg through your hand and let the yolk stay in your hand as the white falls through. I feel like I have a little bit more control tossing it back and forth, but if you want to see an example of that, just kind of let it in your hand. See, the yolk stays on top, everything else falls through. You just barely, just the cracks of your hands will let that egg white come through. Those kind of look cooler. Feel like we're playing with our food at that point, though. Whoa. Okay, so we got 5 egg yolks or egg whites in there. We're gonna get one final egg white. We're gonna try to not goof this one here. Perfectamundo. Okay. Alright. So you can hear my puppy's outside. She wants to come in. So I'm gonna dump this in there. Trust these egg shells. Then I'm gonna let my dog in real quick. Okay, come on in. Come on, sweetie. Don't you? Come on, let's get you. Let's get Blueberry. Come here, sweetie. Come on, let's get Blueberry. Come on, Zelda. Okay, here. There you go. Good. There you go, sweetie. Sorry, I have a bartering system with the dogs. I can only get them inside with blueberries. Okay, so here are the other 3 egg whites. So 6 room temperature egg whites. As you can see, I got a little bit of egg yolk in there. Not the end of the world. So we're gonna mix the milk, the egg whites, and the vanilla together. So here is our 1 cup of room temperature whole milk. Oh no! As you can see, it's a little bit of a Butterfingers day today. Okay, we've got our milk, egg whites, our vanilla extracts. We've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Put that in there. Take our whisk and mix this all together. So, Cooks Illustrated also does the Cook's Country. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's kind of an interesting little show where they show you tips and, hey, Tamakaze, what's going on? We're making toasted almond cake today. Just saying, basically we've got some egg whites, we've got 6 room temperature egg whites, a cup of room temperature whole milk, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract in here. Okay. So I don't yet have any hype sound effects, but I was showing these off earlier. I know this is totally goofy, but I think this might be the thing that really sets me apart. Check it out. Did that do it? Let's see. There we go. Public access sound effects. Okay. So, using the stand mixer, we're going to get our paddle bit on there. We're going to use the stand mixer to kind of gently gently mix together all of our dry ingredients. We've got our wet ingredients here, so I'm going to set those off to the side for now. And in here, we're going to put our flour. So we've got 2 1/4 cup or 9 ounces of cake flour. So this, I actually ended up doing the weight on this. I prefer to do weight over measurements when I can help it, just because it's an exact, measurement. Because the weight of a cup of flour can vary from like 3 to 4 ounces or 3 to 5 ounces. So this is just much easier for me. But if you want to make cake flour and you don't have any on hand, you can actually make, for every cup of regular all-purpose flour, you substitute 2 tablespoons of that with some cornstarch, and then you sift it all together, and it makes that light, fluffy, crumbly bake when you're all done. Oh, might need to be louder? Okay, cool beans. Well, thank you. Yeah, I've kind of got varying volumes on them now. Definitely new to the whole thing, so I appreciate you letting me know there. Okay, so we've got our flour, which is 9 ounces of cake flour. The bowl's locked in, which is something I've forgotten in the past. We're going to put in our baking powder. So we've got 4 teaspoons of baking powder. We'll put that in. And put this off to the side. Sugar. So we've got 2 1/4 ounces of sugar, or 1 cup 3/4. This is just granulated sugar going in. Like all standard baking things, you mix your dry ingredients with most baking things. You mix your dry ingredients, mix your wet ingredients, slowly incorporate the wet into the dry. Let's see, we've got a little bit of salt, teaspoon there. Pop that in. Okay, and we're going to mix this on a low speed just until combined. Now we don't need this protective guard yet, but I'm going to put it on because when I pour in the liquids, that's going to keep everything together. Oh yeah, it is tough. That sound and notifications, like when you haven't done this stuff before, I am like just crazy proud to have 3 cameras and audio going at the same time. But, you know, there's always that excitement to try to push yourself a little more and be like, okay, now we're going to do, you know, add some sound effects. And I think I could, you know what, on break, I think I'll turn those up. Because I'll probably go on break once I get this stuff in the oven. I think I'll turn those up just a little bit because, like I said, it's a blast. I really like it. But let's wipe up this table just a little bit here. So you may have missed, we had a little bit of an egg white fiasco. I was separating the yolks and the egg whites and cracked the egg a little bit too much, and one of the yolks just got in the egg white mixture just a little bit. Okay, I am, as always, dancing around a little pit bull that's hanging around down here. She's my sous chef. Okay, so we're gonna lock this thing, turn the paddle bit on just to combine it. With just about 5 seconds of everything mixing together. More and more I understand the importance of, oh, thanks very much. More and more I understand the importance of, you know, being very gentle with all these things, not over mixing. It's something that just, you feel like, how could you mix something too much, but you can. So it's something to keep in mind. You know, if it says not to do it, don't do it. So let's see, I think, Tamakaze, I'll go ahead and give you a shout out here. Let's see if this works. Okay, so it looks like my links aren't working there. Well, either way, check out Tamakaze. It looks like they're playing Stranger Things 3. Yeah, no problem. I'm trying to figure out how to get this set up, fix my hyperlinks too, because I don't want to just let everything go and have the bots get, you know, take over. But either way, thanks for dropping in. I really appreciate it. Let's see. So we've got some butter, 12 tablespoons that are softened but still cool. So these I put out this morning as well, probably around 8 o'clock. So let them set out for about 2 hours or so before you get started. So 1 stick of butter is 8 tablespoons. So we're going to prepare this and get this opened up and kind of chopped up and ready on the side here. So on a low speed, we're going to add the butter 1 piece at a time. So it's basically 1.5 sticks of butter. Now, I don't have 2 9-inch pans, and that's one thing I realized a little bit late, but I think as long as I can, you know, not overfill the cake pans, I think we'll be okay. So, get this butter cut up. You've got your handy tablespoon markers there. So I'm going to cut it into about tablespoon-ish pieces so that as I drop it in, it's able to mix in well. This I might have even taken out just a little bit too soon. It's still cool, but not that cool. Okay. So mix until pea-sized pieces of butter remain. So we're going to turn this back on the low speed, and we're going to drop in our butter one piece at a time. So this is almost like what happens when you're making biscuits or something. You crumb stuff together. This may be why it tells you not to overmix in the first stage, because of the extended amount of time you're spending mixing in butter. So we've got our dry ingredients, got our sugar, flour, salt, baking powder. We're adding in a stick and a half of butter now. Delicious. Okay, we're going to let that go until pea sizes remain. So while that's going, I'm going to give this liquid mixture one more spin around with the whisk. Just make sure everything's nice and mixed up. Looks like we got our pea-sized mixtures there, and we're going to add half of our milk mixture now. Increase to medium-high. Until light and fluffy. I'll show you what this light and fluffy looks like too. Take a quick sip of coffee here. You kind of got what looks like a pretty wet cookie dough going on in here. They say about a minute. We're looking at about 30, 45 seconds now. So next week I'm thinking about doing Halloween cookies. I don't think I've done any cookies on this show yet, and I'm really excited to. So I think I might do some decorative sugar cookies, and I might try my hand at making some mini candy bars. Okay, so they say light and fluffy at on medium high. That's kind of what you got here. This does kind of look like a wet cookie batter, right? But yeah, it looks kind of fluffy. It looks a little bit like whipped butter or mousse or something like that. Like I said, really the thing it reminds me of is like the chocolate chip cookies when the dough's a little bit too warm and you've added it like right before you've mixed in your chocolate chips in a mad dash to get everything going. So at this point, you're going to lower it back down to medium-low, and you're going to add the remaining milk mixture. Okay. Now you're getting a little bit more of that cake batter consistency. Now it's more like a batter, less like a dough. And we'll give it a final stir by hand in just a moment here. Like most things on your last incorporation of the wet mix, you're gonna just get it till it's just mixed up. So it looks like it's pretty good. Okay, so this is our white cake mixture. Last little bit's gonna be just doing our final stir by hand, getting in the bottom just to be sure there's not anything missing down there. Okay, let's see here. It's pretty good, pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna get our pans here. Rinsing off my spatula. My spatula. Okay. And we're going to get our two 8-inch pans prepared here. So I'm going to set this off to the side for now. I understand why they tell you to do it before you get started, because it helps you just kind of keep everything in order, but I think we're going to be okay here. Get a little bit of flour. And I'll show you how I get these pans greased and floured. I think this is a pretty effective means of doing this. So you take your canola non-stick spray. Okay, you get a good surface going on there. Get a little bit on your smartphone. That's usually a good step. Recommend that. So I'm going to get all the edges. Get a good coat going in there. Okay. I take just a little sprinkle of flour in the middle. This is probably about a tablespoon. Shake it around. Pat it around like that. See, it starts to coat everything. What you want, especially in the corners and on the sides, might even have to come back with just a little bit more. So you can turn the pan kind of on its side like this, pat it around. Do so over the table where you're willing to make a mess, or over the other pan so you can use that flour. But just pat it around, and like that, you've got a pan that's completely coated. I'll show you better lighting on this one. So like that, you got a pan that's completely coated with flour. This will keep your cake from getting too mushy, but it'll also keep it from sticking. Hey, Murder City, what's going on, man? Slicking up that smartphone. Yeah, right. Yeah, you gotta be rocket fast, especially, you know, I said I got that Instagram now. You know, you gotta be real quick with these buttons. You remember buttons? I don't. Okay, so Mr. Murder City, as you see, we're going around and getting our, see, I'll show you from the front. So basically, I'm taking this and I'm patting the flour as I turn it around. Like I said, do this over the trash can or over the other pan that you're using, but that's a good, it's a good way to get a good flour prepared pan. So we will see shortly if I will truly regret not parchmenting and greasing the parchment and all that, but I think we'll be okay. Okay, so I'm gonna scraper over here. I'm just full of fun tips and advice today, but I can tell you one thing that really helps to clean up on stuff with flour too. Get yourself an inexpensive bench scraper. It saves you so much time. You can scrape up the flour that's on the table and then wipe it instead of getting some congealed primordial bread mix. It is probably like a starter for some sort of ancient bread when you wipe up some flour and you got that a couple days later you cleaned it off, but you got kind of that stinky washcloth effect. Nobody wants that. So you just scrape it off. Let's see here. All right. So, got the table wiped off. I gotta say, I don't always get the chance to do the mise en place, get everything in its place, etc., etc. But today I did, and I love that feeling. It's always better to me than doing the than coming in a mad dash. So, let's see. So we're going 18 to 22 minutes on these. I'm going to. Looks like this guy's got a little bit of flour left over. I know you want a light coat of flour, but you don't want any excess flour chilling in there. You're not going to like the effect afterwards. So, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and do these about halfway. puppy. On a nice day like this, my dog is always waiting by the back door, waiting to go outside. You know, we might not actually have enough to do any cupcakes. This is looking pretty good. Okay. So, smooth the top off as best as you can with your rubber spatula. This one might be a little bit too tall. You really don't want to go much above halfway. I'll see if I can move just a little bit of that. You gotta think too, you don't want to disturb too much. You went to all that trouble to get that nice flour mixture in your first pan, but you just want a nice moist batter here, evenly set across your pan, about halfway up. You don't even want to be to 2/3 to the top, because that's just going to be going to pop over the top. You won't have a nice shaped cake. I think another thing that's really important to stress with any baked good, but especially with something like cake or something that can sink in the middle, don't open up the oven until you're done. Just dedicate. You put them in there, let them cook. So these are 2 8-inch pans. They're going to go in for 18 to 22. My oven runs about normal. It's probably hitting it exactly or close to 350. I don't think it's running under. So we're going to do 20 minutes just right in the middle and see where that gets us. In the meantime, we're going to make some frosting, etc., etc. Alright, so cakes are going in. Nice and gentle. I'm going to set a timer on my phone. Now that I got these lightning fast buttons, let's see. Timer. 20 minutes. Okay. So, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get set up so that we can come back and we're going to do some almond frosting. We're going to toast our almonds, which we will need the overhead cam for. And we're going to do, let's see, frosting, topping. We're going to do the filling for our cake as well. So here's break 1 of 2. I will be back probably in about 5 minutes or so. So we'll see you then. Stay tuned. And yeah, hang in there. Thank you everybody for joining. Hello, we're back. So, we've got our white layer cakes, 8-inch cakes in the oven right now. I'm getting my mixing bowl ready because we're going to make some almond frosting. We're going to make some almond pastry cream. We're going to whip some cream and we're going to put that, mix that in with some almond extract, some amaretto, and we're going to toast some almonds. So it's all almonds this Sunday. Almonds. And I turned up the volume on the sound effects that I've been so excited about. So let me try one and just see what happens. Tell me if this blows out your speakers here.
Maybe you don't want to boil eggs this way.
Let's see. How was that? If it didn't blow out your speakers, then I'm doing everything right. If it did, there's room for improvement. That's what they say. It's a challenge with room for improvement. Alright, so I'm cleaning up my little shield here. This just had some flour, cake mix, etc. on it. So let's get our instructions out and get started on the next stuff. Got about 20 minutes to get everything else together. We can probably take our time because we're going to want the cakes to cool down just a little bit before we frost them. So I'll probably open up the window, maybe put them in the windowsill. Got a lot of technology over there, so we'll see. All right, so first step for the almonds. So we're gonna line a rimmed baking sheet with parchment paper so that we can set them on there, get them off the heat as soon as they're ready. So let's get that. Got a baking sheet here. This thing has been so beat up over the years, but it is. I've had this since I moved out, so I've had this for 12 years now, which is crazy. Okay, get some parchment paper. I'm very, very happy because Aldi just started selling parchment paper. Oh my God, Murder City. The things that will live on forever in the chat room. Okay, so we've got our rimmed baking sheet lined with parchment paper. Okay, so I'm going to set that off to the side. And we're going to melt 1 tablespoon of butter. Cut that off to the side, it's sitting back here. And we're going to melt that in a 12-inch pan, which I've got over on the, dang, I still pointed the wrong way, which I've got on the overhead cam here. Add the almonds and cook until golden brown for about 5 minutes. Then we're going to add some granulated sugar until the sugar is caramelized and the almonds are deep golden brown. So let's see, I've got my mise en place for this as well. So we've got 2 cups of almonds. We've got 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. Behold. And I think, aside from the butter, that's all we need. So over medium heat, we're going to go ahead and get this butter started. Ta-da! Okay. Medium heat on the butter. It's already spinning around in the pan. Would you just look at that butter go, everybody? It really is something to behold. Oh, thank you. That's too kind, really. Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So we got the butter going. Also, if you're looking to toast almonds for any kind of salad or anything else, honestly, you don't have to start with butter. I think the butter helps with caramelizing the sugar later on. There we go, the sugar. But if you just want to toast your almonds for a salad or for some kind of savory thing, you can just toss them in a dry pan and just kind of keep flipping that. You'll see, well, I'll probably stir it in there, but you just kind of keep flipping the dry almonds, walnuts, whatever, pecans in the pan until they get a nice toast going, and you'll smell it. I like this toasting almonds or toasting any kind of nuts on the stove because they really are. It's like a really sensory heavy thing to do, and It's an experience. So get our rubber spatula back out. And this butter is just melted. Okay, so we're going to scatter 2 cups of almonds in there. You can hear it crackling a little bit. I'm going to need to get a mic over the stove over here so you can catch all these ASMR sounds. You can hear my dog whining in the background. That would be another sound that really titillates. Oh, there she goes. Toasty. Oh my goodness. These puppies. Okay, go on. Go on. Someday, someone will have to compile all the times that I've let these dogs out midstream. This is just such a step into what normal life is like. So, going around, getting the almonds toasted, keeping kind of an even layer, but we're just tossing them around in the pan there. Take our sugar. I'm going to get our tray here, put it over to the right of the stove so that when the time comes, we're ready to toss that thing over. Hurrytron, you just made me realize I should probably use that sound clip from Mortal Kombat for the Toasty. That would be great. And I think at this point too, if you are confident and comfortable with tossing anything in a pan by hand, you know, once they're coated with the butter, you can give them a little toss like that. See, they're starting to get a little bit of color on them. Yeah, I just have to do it's like, it's not a cooking show if you don't see somebody do like a little pop-up, right? I flipped 4 eggs at the same time the other day, and it was like the equivalent of getting a 3-pointer. Okay, so these are starting to get toasted. And you don't want to overcook them, so at about this point when they start to get a little bit of color, you're going to go ahead and add all that sugar in. So it's 3 tablespoons of sugar. And this stuff is going to cook up in that heat with that butter and the oil from the light oil from those almonds. This is going to make a beautiful, really nice looking topping for this cake. Basically, we will ice the cake once it cools down, and then we're gonna put those toasted almonds just all over the thing. Hey, hello, Sergeant Power Glove. How you doing this morning? By the way, I think I'm like 10 followers away from affiliate at this point, so pretty soon I should be getting some emotes going and, you know, really getting into the streaming thing. I'm so excited for that. So if you know anybody that likes to watch, you know, cooking, baking, anybody that's interested in learning how to do a couple new things, or just wants to watch me, you know, goof around on a Sunday morning, by all means, let them know. The more the merrier. You know, the people from First Person Duders, Sleepy Time Beer, Mayor Sheriff, all of them really got me started here. And honestly, half the people who join in are probably your retro gamers, which is awesome. Good to see like the community mixing up a little bit there. Okay, so these are getting to that toasted face, and you can smell it too. Now, if I were doing these completely dry, I'd probably let them get a little bit darker, but these have a nice golden color to them. And the sugar is cooked in, caramelized on some of these. So this is going to make a lovely topping. And we're going to take that off the heat. We're going to put it onto this pan here. And this is just so you get these last ones off the pan. So when these are ready to come off, they're really ready. They will keep cooking down to the last minute. You want to get them off that heat onto a pan lined with parchment paper. You can also use foil, but I think they'll stick a little bit. So if you're going to use foil, if you don't have parchment hanging around, be sure to give it a little quick spritz of some canola oil. Oh, the cake's going good. We got 2 8-inch cakes in the oven now, and actually when those come out, I'm going to cut them in half after they've cooled a little bit, because this is going to be essentially a 4-layer cake. Alright, so there are our, still hot, there are our toasted almonds. Nice golden brown, a little bit of caramelized sugar in there. Set this off to the side for now. Okay, and those will stay there and cool down. We're gonna check our timer for the cakes, see how we're doing on that. We've got 2 minutes, 18 seconds left on the cake. I think we're probably at a good point for a little coffee break here. Let us see, let us see. Hey, Sergeant Power Glove, thank you for the shout out on that Discord. I really appreciate that. And it looks like my dogs are fighting outside. So I'm going to let them in real quick, and then I'm going to pour. Oh, no, they're good. Just like that. Comes and goes with these pups. Okay. So I'm ready for a little bit of coffee here. Thanks so much, Sergeant Power Glove. I appreciate that. All right, so we got some coffee time. Not quite hot enough. I'm going to pop that in the microwave for a second. Now's a good time to kind of review a couple things too. Like I said, I've got, hey, Neo180, thank you for the follow. That is awesome. Just as Rick Steves does there in the top corner. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I've got an Instagram I'm getting going. I'm going to put some quick cooking tips on there. I'm trying to get this stream really consistent with some cool sound effects and fun things and this and that. So I'm really happy to, this is something I look forward to every week. I was thinking today, like, okay, how often do I want to take a break? Do I break this up into seasons? How much do I fully pretend I'm a TV host as opposed to, just a guy with some webcams? But, yeah, I think things have really been awesome. So, Neo180, thank you very much. That's really awesome. That is absolutely great. Church of Dave every Sunday. That's right. If this were one, this would be the only one that I'm going to at the moment. But yeah, so I'm thinking about doing some background music as well. There go our cakes. So I don't know if, what do you all think, just to put some feelers out there, if there were like smooth jazz going in the background just lightly, is that too much? Is that too far? Sometimes the silence kills me a little bit, but I'm keeping busy. You all are the ones that are in the chat room hanging out, you know? Look at this. So I'm looking at the cakes from out here right now. I think they could probably go just a second longer. Okay. Well, thanks, Harrytron. I think that's encouraging. I started, kind of messing around looking for that. I've looked at a couple other cooking streams. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's as long as we're doing what's fun for us, that's gonna make it work. So I'm putting a couple more minutes on these cakes because I'm looking through the glass on my oven door, which is already kind of tinted, but they look just a little bit, they don't have quite the color I want to them yet, a little bit pale still. So we're going to tighten up the apron here. We've got our toasted almonds going. We still need to make our frosting and our filling, but I want to do those as these cakes cool down, because we're not going to be able to put the frosting on a hot cake. It's just going to drip off, and I really want to execute this nicely. I might even get a little fan or something, or put these in a room with a fan as they cool, because I want to get this right, and I don't want to, the ding dong cake was fun, but it also, didn't end up perfect. More strict on music rights. It's funny you mentioned the thing about music rights, Hurrytron, because that's one, so the sound effects for pretty much anything I've added recently, I got from the National Archive library. It was like archive.org, and it's all free, public domain, public access stuff. And I managed to find a royalty-free song, background music to put on if I do that. But yeah, almond extract is one of my favorites too, and I think I almost thought about doing biscotti, because I feel like biscotti has a little bit of that essence of almond flavor to it, and I've never made it, so I haven't looked at a recipe for it, but I made it at a grocery store I worked at, but it came, after the initial bake, and we just chopped it up and then flipped it and baked it again. So I've halfway made biscotti, but some amaretto biscotti or something, that would be good. Okay. Here's another moment of truth. I'm going to move these things out of the way. Take another quick peek at this cake. Let's see. We're still not quite there. It's a little bit... The cake is a smidgen sunken. Hey, thanks Sergeant Power Glove for the host. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay, this coffee break's been slightly extended, but we're going to go ahead and move on to some of our other stuff, so I can keep you all entertained here. Okay, so we've got 1 cup of room temperature pastry cream, which I took out a little bit earlier. We're going to move on to the frosting for the cake. And we're going to beat some softened butter on medium till smooth and light. We're going to add the pastry cream, add some amaretto, and then that's it. So that'll be how we make a little bit of this nice, buttery, light frosting for our cake. Okay, for the frosting. 1 cup of pastry cream and softened butter. Now I've got to read these directions very carefully, because there's 1 tablespoon unsalted butter plus 16 tablespoons of unsalted butter softened. So I've got to be sure I'm using the right stuff here. Timer set. Okay. So, first person duders, thanks for hosting as well. This is awesome. This is like 10 viewers, 2 hosts. This is the jam. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. That is just great. Boy, it's a good Sunday as long as these cakes come out all right. Pop, pop. Let's see. Oh, boy. Oh, you know what? I think they're actually getting there. That's good. That's good. Okay, so not all hope is lost for these cakes. I know I let them go for longer than it called for 18 to 22 minutes, and they've now been in there for 22 minutes. I'm gonna probably do a total of 25. So let's see. very carefully. I've got to look. Okay, so this is 16 tablespoons. So it's basically a buttercream made with pastry cream. And confectioner's sugar is listed in this recipe, but I don't exactly know. Let's see. Spread frosting evenly on top sides of the cake. There's my puppy hanging out. Okay. We can do this. Here we go. So we've got about, I'm looking at our softened butter count to see how much we've got here, because I've got a little bit in a butter dish, but it looks like I might have not had enough prepared. So we've got about 9 tablespoons of softened butter here. And got another 8 on top of that that's going to come out pretty soon. We'll let the dog in. Hi, you want a treat? Come on in, we're giving free treats away. Good girl, go on up. Come on, let's get you a treat. Good girl, let's get a treat. Good girl, come on, let's get a treat. Come on, go get some blueberries. Alright, good job. Very good. Okay, we got to take our time with one of the puppies because she has been a little bit afraid of smooth floors lately. Okay, here we go. You sit. Good girl. Alright. Okay. So, got our timer coming up to an end. We've got our 1 cup of pastry cream. Gonna get our paddle bit for our mixer. So right now we're making our pastry cream. It's kind of like a buttercream made with pastry cream. So it's gonna be pretty rich, pretty tasty. Got our cup of warmed pastry cream, at least warm to room temperature. Okay. And I'm going to cut up the rest of this butter because some of it is not as warm as I want it to be yet. Oh, you know what? My mistake. We're going to have to start the butter in the bowl before we start this pastry cream. Set this aside. Okay, now there come the cakes. And this time I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let's see what they look like. Okay, looks pretty well cooked, looks pretty even. Hoping they're not big. So we got a little bit of a golden brown on the top of one of these here. Come away from the side just a little bit, but I think when we pull those out, we fill them, we're not going to have to worry about it. Okay, so the cakes are out. A little bit dark in the middle. As I said, the middle is going to be filled, and I had to leave them in just to be sure they were fully cooked. Let's do the toothpick test and just double check here. Okay, toothpick comes out clean. Let's try one more. Okay, both toothpicks have come out completely clean from the cake, so we're good. Cakes are out. And after those sit in those pans for just a minute, they just started to come away from the sides. I think, you know, if I were to do this again, I think I would probably, one, that the butter might have been a little bit too warm, hence some of these pores, the moisture trying to come out. 2, I think I would probably do, so I did about 28 minutes or 26 minutes. I think I'd do about 24 minutes on the next one and let them finish up in the pan. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get our 6. Hey! Is that Kylina? 1977? Kylina? Well, thank you very much for the follow. Alright, thanks so much, I appreciate it. Okay, so we are getting our pastry cream together. I'm going to scoot this mixer up into the shot a little bit more. Perfect. Yeah, Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so happy to have you here. Okay, so we've got about 9 tablespoons of butter here. We're going to try to get, see, 16 total. So 9 and 8, going to be 17. So we'll leave 1 tablespoon of butter out. Okay, so we got the paddle bit here, and some of this butter is just a little bit cooler than I want it to be, so it's going to take just a second to get it all to the right softness. But basically, we're going to beat that softened butter until it's smooth and light. It'll actually lighten up a little bit in color too. It's just a byproduct of a little bit of air getting into that butter. So, got the thing locked down here. That butter's probably not going anywhere, so I'm going to leave the top off so you can see. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to set this on a medium speed. We're going to do that for about 3 minutes. It looks like our cakes are probably ready to go into a cooling rack, so I'm going to do that so we can get some airflow underneath them. What's going on? Am I saying that right? J-Tao? It's hard to communicate over a chat room too. Right now it looks like we're getting, you notice the weatherman voice comes in. We don't have any peaks. But the butter is getting light. Okay, so here's what you're gonna see. Grabbing this, place my hand softly over here. I'm going to flip it out of the pan. Make you feel it release. It's like a couple rivets. Oh, look at that too. And then, whoop, knock the pan. I'm going to flip it back over onto the tray so that I can get everything. Now, I gotta say, I'm really happy with the color of this. I do think that even though the top is a little bit now that we've taken the vortex of butter off, this is what I mean by light and fluffy. You'll see LAF, light and fluffy. So you'll see this butter is a little bit lighter in color, kind of pale after some of that air has gotten into there. That's exactly what we want. We've got 16 tablespoons of butter in there, which is buttery and delicious. Well, like I was saying, the color on this cake I'm really happy with. It sunk just a little bit, and I think that might have been because of some oven inconsistencies. But I know with the filling, I'm going to be happy with it. So this will look pretty good. I'm going to do the same with this other one here. So as I said, you just take the side, once it's cooled, take the side of the pan, lightly place your hand over the top of the cake. You're going to catch it and you'll feel the release in your hand. There's your other cake bottom there. I'm just going to put that on the rack to cool down. Okay. Alright, so we can continue with our frosting here. It's essentially an amaretto buttercream, and I really like the sound of that. I know that is going to be super delicious. I tried making this cake a few years ago, and it turned out pretty good. But I think today is going to be it's going to be very nice. Just as a side note, I think doing this kind of thing where you're talking and baking at the same time it's a little bit of a challenge, especially I'm all over the place sometimes, but I feel that like when I'm not recording and I'm on my own doing this baking, I'm really in the zone now. It's really sharpened my skills. I'm really, really happy about that. But it's a lot of fun to show this and just talk, drink coffee, and bake at the same time. So thank you again for showing up. Thank you for everybody who's followed. Kylena1977. Hurrytron, you've been there watching a few of these for a while now. Neo and 80. All of y'all, I really appreciate it so very much. So thanks for joining in. It's really cool. And if you've got something on Twitch you want me to shout out, by all means, let me know. I'll shout it out in the chat box. My hyperlinks are having some issues this morning. Sounds like a total millennial problem. But yeah, I'm more than happy to give you a shout out. And if I miss any shout outs this time around, I'm happy to keep them going in the future too. People do it for me, just kind of pass it along. Okay, so we've got our 1 cup of pastry cream. That's come to room temp. Got that here. There's a little piece of almond in there, but don't mind that. We've got our butter that's been made light. This says to add the pastry cream in 3 additions, so we're going to do a little bit at a time. It's probably just to ensure that it gets added very evenly into the mix. Keep that medium speed going. That's going to be so good. Alright. This is exciting. I'm really happy to be this far along with this thing. Okay, so this is not a glass of whiskey. This is amaretto, which I guess you could have with whiskey, which would be nice, and maybe I'll have that later. I've got a little bit of almond extract here as well. So add the amaretto and beat about 5 minutes scraping down the bowl. So I'm going to scrape down the bowl real quick here. Oh. This smells and looks delicious. Once this is on that cake, oh my gosh, it's going to be crazy good. I cannot wait. We've got our cakes cooling down right now on the overhead. Every time. On the, oh, they're not on the overhead panel. Well, they should be. Here. Here are our lovely cakes cooling down. Now, I don't know if any of you all have taken any cooking classes or anything. It's something I've really considered. I've mostly just taught myself this stuff, but there's a community college nearby that offers classes, and I thought it would be really cool to have like an official accredited baking degree, and so that might be somewhere in the future here. Things might end up even looking even more uniform. Who knows? I might not have might not have cakes that sink at all. But so we're gonna add the amaretto. I'm gonna start it just a little bit slow. Then we're gonna move that up. Oh, it smells awesome. It smells so good. Raytron, I know you said you liked the, Man in the Box 4. Thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you for coming in. We're making some almond amaretto buttercream frosting. Oh my gosh, it smells fantastic. Like, I wish there were a way to give this smell. I finally understand all those cheesy smell-o-vision comments on TV. Heyo! Thank you, as Rick Steve goes. So, thank you so much. I love the Power Glove. I love the Power Glove. And thanks to First Person Duders for hosting. Thanks to Sergeant Power Glove for hosting. Getting the word out there. We're gonna scrape this stuff down one more time, and then we're gonna let it mix for just about. Oh my God, this is like a dream. This is beautiful. A nice, tall, fluffy frosting. I feel like maybe we could even use a little bit more, but here we are. We all love the Power Glove. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, dude. I hope the end of your game yesterday turned out well. Power Glove. I know I left to watch Hocus Pocus, but I ended up watching Treehouse of Horror all night, which was a very good addition. So we're gonna keep this at about a medium speed for now. I'm gonna rinse out a bowl that we're gonna use for our filling. These are still pretty hot. To see a group of people just really doing well at something they like. Not to sound too cheesy or anything, but it's nice. It's nice stuff. Okay, here we go. So, cut each cake round in half horizontally. That's going to be a bit of a challenge. Let's see. Now, I think that will really help these cool down faster too once I cut them, but I don't have another sufficient cooling rack, so I'm trying to think of what I can use. So the almonds over here are doing pretty good. Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, so we got our almond frosting finished here, and this is some beautiful stuff. Nice, big, fluffy, delicious. Look at that. That is like. Sometimes I wish I could get the light just completely perfect so you could capture this fluffy, marshmallowy, delicious looking stuff. So, I'm gonna get this back in the bowl. And this, I have no real reason to pipe this stuff on. I think I'm just gonna use my spatula, my angled spatula to get this onto the cake. But I think it's gonna be tasty. So I'm gonna get this taste tested real quick. I'll be right back. My taste tester moved. I'll be right back. It's good. It is pretty darn good. Let's see. Pastry cream. You know, I feel like the only thing is could maybe use a tiny bit of, this is going against the recipe here, but we could use a little time for our cake to cool. I'm going to add just a little bit of icing sugar to sweeten that up just a little bit. Because there is a line that says confectioner's sugar in this recipe, but it doesn't say how much. We don't want to go too crazy, so I'm going to add probably about a half cup or so. Confectioner's sugar, which is powdered sugar, by the way. I've made the mistake on these before, using granulated sugar when you think that's confectioner's sugar. Why do they have all these different names for these things? I don't know. I'm gonna mix in this powdered sugar, get that a little bit sweeter than it is. I think that's gonna be great. Now I will have to transfer this to a different bowl because I have to do some whipped cream for let's see, for some part of this, actually for the next portion. So give this a quick try. Yeah, that's delicious. Ooh man, that's good. Dangerously good. Okay. So we're gonna put our icing in this bowl for now. And I will use a different bowl for mixing our soon-to-be whipped cream and the rest of our pastry cream, which will be our filling. Look at that fluffy, wonderful. I know the sunlight always comes in it such a way, but that is like great. Holy cow. And it's nice too because it's not, you know, I hear a lot of people who are hesitant of, you know, they don't like icing or don't like frosting because they probably had one too many standard grocery store cakes. And not to hate on the grocery store cakes too much because they can be really good sometimes too. I am always a sucker for like cookie cakes or anything. But you have a good buttercream or you have a good like icing like frosting like this that's, you know, pastry cream. It's completely different. I'm going to set this in the fridge for just a little bit. I don't really want it to harden up. And so I don't forget about it, I'm going to set a quick, maybe 15-minute timer. I want it to be smooth enough to spread on later too. So let's say 10 minutes. Okay, but I don't want it to be super room temperature. In the meantime, I'm going to get the rest of this pastry cream out. I started by making 3 cups of pastry cream a little bit earlier, but as I've said, you all have seen me make pastry cream probably 2 or 3 times now. So it's nothing new. It's just, you know, standard, you know, eggs, sugar, cornstarch, a touch of salt, and some cream, and then a little bit of extract, right? And I used a little bit of almond extract on mine. Dude, you can hear the coffee's kicking in too. I start to talk faster to like the second half of this show. So we are going to get some whipped cream going in this KitchenAid. That's always fun. And I'm going to take a look at my microphone setup. I'm going to turn down the mic a little bit as I make the whipped cream because I know that it gets incredibly loud. And if you haven't seen the Weatherman clip from before, it's essentially a look into exactly how loud this thing can get. So let's see. If you have the time and you got a little bit of time to prepare, whipped cream also happens much easier if you put your bowl in the fridge for a little bit or even the freezer for 5 minutes. Just whips up quicker and easier. It's funny, eggs and cream are kind of the opposite like that. Eggs whip up easier and build more, you know, the proteins connect more and everything. Hey, Swedland. Or Swedland. Swedland? One emoji for Swedland, 2 emojis for Swedland. Thank you very much for the follow. That's awesome. I thank you so much, everybody. I have not had this many followers all at one time yet, so this is really great. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna do half a cup of whole cream. Got a heavy whipping cream here. Just a splash more. And then I'm gonna put our protective cover here so that we don't explode. Let's see. Either's fine. Three emotes. Heck yeah. Well, Swedland. I like Swedland. Probably because it sounds like Sweden. Either way, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming in. We're making some whipped cream right now, but as you see, we've got a couple cakes cooling. We're making toasted almond cakes. I'll show you the front view here because I am very happy. They sunk just a little bit, but when I try to make the Victoria sponge, like the first British Bake Off episode thing, I'm going to be pretty happy about that. Hey, Kylina, thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. So we're going to I'm going to turn down the mic really quick, and then we're going to get the whipped cream going, and then we're going to mix it with some pastry cream, and then we'll be good. So turn this thing down just a little bit. Just kidding. Okay, so I'm going to set this on high. Let's go. Okay, volume's back up. To be clear, this didn't quite get the soft peaks. These got just a little bit. It's a little bit more. This is a hard peak. We're not quite at butter yet, though, so that's good. If it hasn't separated, there's been no, if the liquid starts to separate from the solid, keep beating it for a little longer, and you've got butter. So that's just, it's something we did before, and that's a good way to be like, hey, I didn't waste this cream. I made something else that was artisanal and cool. But yeah, so we just stopped in time. We wanted peaks a little bit softer than that, but I don't think, let's see. I think that's good. Okay. Wash your hands here. All right. And pretty soon, I don't know if you saw, but let's see. We're gonna mix the rest of our pastry cream in here. But I don't know if you saw on the other camera, but I was starting to cut the cakes in half over there. So that's our next step. We're gonna mix this pastry cream and our soft peaked whipped cream, which got a little hard peaked, but that's okay. This is going to be the filling for everything, so not exactly the end of the world. Of course, you want it to be smooth. All right, we're getting there. Like I said, this is going to be slightly less smooth because I let the whipped cream go a little bit too long. That's okay because it's going to be nestled in between some light, fluffy cake mixes and everybody will be happy. So, let's see. We're going to add the almond extract, which we've got 1 teaspoon of almond extract here. We're going to add that into our pastry cream, whipped cream mix. So you've got kind of an almond pastry cream going on here. Recipes together online so that I can share these recipes with everyone so you can kind of go back and look at this stuff too. Dave making cake. Hype. Dan doesn't stream. What's going on? Nice to see you. Thank you for coming in. Okay. Well, we are nearly done. Hang in there a little bit longer, folks, and we're going to have a beautiful almond cake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these cakes, and if they're not quite cool enough, I might take another 5-minute break, get them cooled down. But we are getting so close, and I'm really excited. This is going to be beautiful. Okay. So I'm just going through, cutting these cakes right in the middle, very gently with a serrated knife. You know, I bought a whole set of knives thinking I was getting your typical serrated bread knife, and then I found out I wasn't. So that was my bad. Okay, so where will I set this? I think I'm going to set this on a cutting board with the inside pointed out. Hey, Dr. Damien, what's going on, man? How are you? Okay. Let's see here. Okay. That's the timer for our pastry cream. Well, Dr. Damien, I'm glad to see you're with us, man. I'm sorry about your car, the deer situation. That's no good. Glad you're okay. And I know you said it was a lot of that was mostly cosmetic. Man, just glad, very, very glad you're all right. It was trucked up. You haven't listened to the Mayor Sheriff Trucked Up EP. That's trucked up. Okay, so because of these sunken middles, there's a little bit of a challenge here to getting these things cut perfectly, evenly across. But I think in the end we can still get a nice flat cake. Okay, so I'm gonna flip the whole thing over here. We're gonna flip this guy. We got one tiny bit of cake that didn't go smoothly, so let's try it. black bean party recipe. Yeah. No, I've got a really good recipe for black bean burgers, and actually, it's the Whole Foods recipe for black bean burgers. I add about 3 times as much hot sauce to mine, but yeah, I'll post that in the Duder Discord. All right, our cakes are cut in half. These are pretty good. I'm gonna take one last, probably 2.5 minute break, and I will be right back, everybody. Just got to get set up for our assembly and everything, and I'll be back, and then we're doing. That's it. We'll probably be done by noon today, noon Central Time. So, thank you everybody for dropping in. I'll be back in 2.5 minutes. So please stay on and see this cake through with me here. And by the way, if you haven't had a blast with any of these yet, let's see. If you haven't had a blast with any of these sound effects yet,
Tony, that flash means act fast.
act fast. Okay. Anyway, have fun. I'll be right back, everybody. See you in about 2 minutes. Hey, I'm back. Oh no, the sounds aren't coming through. Let's see, it looks like one of my overhead cam is doing okay.
Cream butter merely means to work it with an instrument until it becomes soft and smooth.
Cool down. Oh, okay. I hope those work. Either way, if not, I'll do some fixing. Okay.
Certain foods you eat are called carbohydrates, such as candy, cake,
Candy,
pie, and the like.
cakes, pie, and the like. All right. I like the tarts one is pretty good too. Exclamation point tarts. Okay. Well, this is it. We're going to get our cake pedestal out, and we're going to assemble this cake. The time has come. Get ready, people. I don't know what this Streamlabs thing is. I did not. See, I didn't get the cam. I don't know what's going on with that one. Sorry, everybody. Slight technical difficulty. For some reason, my camera is acting a little bit goofy. You know, I've never seen this one before. Oh, how weird. So even when cam 1 is off, it's still being weird. Sorry everybody, quick technical difficulty. Huh. Okay. Everybody still hear me? Everything okay? Don't know what's up with our muted things here, but we're gonna go ahead and just get these things. Oh my. Okay. Well, please forgive the top right corner of the stream. We're going to go ahead and continue here with the cake decorating. I will keep one straight on cam and one overhead cam going. What they say in these moments, you got to crack on, right? Okay, so piece one we're gonna put down there, and I think we're gonna do. Let's see. I think we're gonna do just a spot. I'm gonna do a spot of parchment paper underneath our cake here before we get it going. Is a bummer about the top right of the screen there. Okay. Just doing a spot of this buttercream here so I can keep the cake still as we decorate. The layers are good. Not 100% perfect, but they're looking pretty good. Let's get this guy right in the center. I did have the overhead cam. Something bad happened with it. I don't know what. I actually haven't seen something like this before, but I didn't want to stop the whole stream for it. Let's see. I wonder... It's in the cake. Let's see. How about we switch to this overhead here, huh? We're on the fly. So because my camera is acting pretty goofy, we're just gonna do an overhead setup for the cake. So do a little bit of our pastry cream here. Spread evenly in the middle. We're gonna get a angled spatula. Pardon the noise, everyone. Okay. So we're getting this. I'm going to add just a little bit more over here, keep it even. I want to take this pastry cream all the way to the edge, all the way around. You want a generous layer of your pastry cream. Okay, so there's your first part there. Now we're going to do the second. Okay, so there's our second part of the cake. So you basically want this pastry cream filling evenly separated into 3 portions as you fill the 3 gaps in your cake. This is a 4-layer toasted almond cake. Again, I apologize, we made it so well without any technical difficulties, and then right at the end I ended up with some issues on my camera. So what we're doing right now is we're just doing the overhead. So you're taking your angled spatula and you're just evenly spreading this all the way around. Okay. Oop. Okay, if a little bit gets on the sides, because you're still going to put some frosting on the outside of this cake, but okay, so there's our second layer. Massive surge of people having problems with stream. Oh no! Well, Dr. Damien, thank you for looking that up, man. Can everyone see this overhead camera okay? Is that still all right? See. Okay, just getting a good look. I'm going to change the lighting in here just a little bit. So I want you to be able to see this cake as we put the top on here. Okay, so here's the final layer of the pastry cream and whipped cream that's mixed together. Now, all in all, these cakes probably cooled for about 30 or more minutes. The more time you can let these cakes cool, the better. So if you've got all day and you're doing this as a Sunday, Sunday fun day thing, by all means, let these cakes cool, because you don't want to rush it. I love these spinny cake pedestal things. They really are nice. I actually got this one with a pack that I ordered these spatulas with. So keep an eye out for that, those kind of deals. Okay. We're doing good. We're getting our mix all the way to the end there. Take some time as you're doing this to stop and look at the edge of your cake to see how even or uneven you may be. Okay? Because before you know it, it's very easy for these things to start slipping and sliding on you. Okay. We are looking pretty good though. I am very happy with this. I think we're cool enough for about room temperature. One important thing, so I used the bottom of one of the cakes for the very bottom of this. And I'm going to use the bottom for the very top as well. That way I have a good flat surface. So here's the last piece on our cake. It looks like it's going to bulge just a little bit around the side. You can use this spatula to go around the side, you know, pre-icing. Take a second to look down at it and be sure it's nice and even. Now, mine, like I said, bulges just a little bit. This might have been because of the the actual baking of the batter, but I think it's going to be okay. Thank you, Sergeant Power Glove. And thank you, Murder City. Thank you all for checking this stuff out. We're almost done. We're going to add the frosting, and then we're going to add the toasted almonds, and then we're finished. So I'll give one final... Oh, Dr. Damien, I was just saying, if I could send this stuff through the internet to everyone, I really would love to. Okay, where is our rubber spatula? Where have you gone? Okay, here we go. All right, so we've got our almond buttercream here, nice and smooth. And this is the way you do it. It's silly, might seem a little silly, but take your icing, put the whole thing on top. You can maybe give it a break once you get some set on there, but this is, my mom was the first person to show me how to ice a cake. She kind of showed me this method for just kind of waving it back and forth as the frosting will kind of evenly distribute itself. Like I said, this may be slightly warm, which can be an issue with that pastry cream. You want this to be as close to room temperature as possible because you don't want to squish your cake too much, right? So, just trying to get this nice and turned around. As I said, we got a little bit of wiggle going on here. Cake is slightly warm. So if you can help it, get this cake as close to room temperature as you can before you start icing it. So you're going to end up with some wiggle in yourself here. Cooler cake is going to take this pressure a little bit better. Now, this is all getting shared with family and friends. Obviously, we want this to look as nice as possible, but it's not going to be the end of the world if it's not, you know, an absolute showstopper. You kind of work that excess icing in the middle around the edges. Take a second to stop and look down at your cake. Make sure you're still level. Looks like mine's slouching a little bit. Put the rest of the icing on. My cake! That is from an episode of Popeye. That is none other than the lovely olive oil. The affection of whom Popeye and Bluto both fight for. But man, is that show is old and misinformed. We are getting there. This frosting is coming around the edges. Oh my goodness. frosting all set up here, smoothed around the edges. Coming up soon is probably my favorite part, which is where you get to take your almonds and cover up all those tiny little imperfections that have no doubt happened if you tried to make this cake, you know, on a 2-hour streaming service. No doubt, this is not a perfect looking cake on the outside, but it is a delicious, perfectly flavored cake everywhere else. So, we're going around here. Thank you to everybody who tuned in today. Thank you again to everybody who followed, to the people who already follow. I really appreciate it. You know, I love to do this baking stuff. I love to have an excuse to make a whole cake on any given Sunday. So thank you so much for being the reason why myself, my fiance, and my loved ones have to try to figure out who's going to eat an entire cake, because of any problem to have, that is certainly a good one. So for future streams, it's very possible I might cool these things down a little bit extra before we get going. But I think today's was overall successful. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at it from the side. Okay, we're a little bit uneven. Just getting the last bit of this cake good and flat on top. And then we're going to call it, okay? Beautiful, beautiful. One little roundabout here, just getting this cake flat on top. Here's some of the icing, kind of getting a little bit warm. Now at this point, were I not on a stream, I would probably pop this thing in the cooler for just a minute, just to help this icing set up. But what I'm going to do, as soon as this is done, I'm going to pop this into the cooler, into the refrigerator, let everything set up. But it's looking pretty good right now. Let's see. That is pretty well even. Okay. Hey, thanks very much. Hey, Jenna's online. What's going on? Okay. So now we're doing the fun stuff. We're going to take our almonds, decorate the top. We're going to decorate the sides. And this is a lot of fun. So just take a little bit, pop it on the sides there. Anything that doesn't stick to the sides, roll it around, give it another try. We got 2 cups worth of almonds to really get this stuff sticking, so have some fun. If you got kids cooking with you, have them help you with this. It's fun. It's a little messy. Not super artisanal because the whole point is that you're just getting this whole thing covered in almonds. Oh my goodness. Almonds are everywhere here. Take some of these fallen almonds and repurpose them. Okay, we are tucking this baby in for bed. Okay. All right. So, very shortly, hey, right on. Thanks, Sergeant Power Glove. I appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you getting the word out there, doing the hosting. I will likely raid your station soon here. So, I'm going to give the final view here. Hello. I know I've got our weird cake situation, but in the end, here is your toasted almond cake. Got almonds spread all around, about as evenly as I possibly could. Here it is from the top. So yeah, toasted almonds, beautiful cake. Thing weighs a ton. There you have it. So, thank you everybody for joining in. I'm gonna pop this thing in the fridge, get it set up a little bit. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thanks for hosting First Person Duders, Sergeant Power Glove. Thanks for joining Dr. Damien, Dan Doesn't Stream, Hurrytron. You know, I got a couple other follows. I know Hurrytron's been here a lot in the past. Jenna's online. Thanks for coming in. Man in the Box, thanks for the follow. Kylena1977, thank you for the follow. Thank you for dropping in. Swedland. There were a lot of people who followed today, and that was really, really great. So, and thank you to everybody who came and, you know, joined in for the fun. So, I'm going to try to make a few other changes. Hey, glad to make the cake. I wish I could give it to you. But yeah, a few other changes coming in the future. If you don't follow and you're on Instagram, you can see the Baker Dave. I'm going to post this and a couple other things. So you might notice it's in its polished form by the time it's on there. But this is the nitty gritty. So thank you everybody for coming in. We're going to probably, I'm going to check on Twitch and see who's live right now. See if there's anybody I can raid. Let's see. I'll look around and see if there's anybody we can help out in here. It looks like Sergeant Power Glove is at least on his starting soon screen, so we're going to go ahead and raid Sergeant Power Glove if I can get that to work. Let's see. Okay. Well, you all will be headed that way after I'm logged out. I appreciate you coming in. Have a great day, and thank you so much for all of the fun.